Hey, what's up guys? So we're going to be doing a deck profile for the deck that I was playing a while ago. This is the anti-meta variant that I was playing because a lot of you guys wanted to see the deck profile, and a lot of people earlier requested me to make an anti-meta deck. Now, first off, I'll be doing another video on talking about anti-meta, but I just want to do the deck profile and explain the choices and then why I'm running some of the cards I'm running. Basically, the deck is pretty slow. Some of the duels aren't very interesting. I mean, sometimes you'll summon Thunder King set 4, and then you win. And then sometimes you don't draw a monster for too long, or if you draw too many monsters and you have no back row to protect your monsters, you simply lose because of that. That said, let's finally get started with the deck profile. Over here in the side deck, I have some other cards that you can decide to main deck if you'd like. They're just there because, you know, some people like to switch up some cards. So that said, these are not my actual side deck cards for the anti-meta deck. I just have them there because I'll do some explanations and why I'm playing certain cards that I'm playing. So first off, we played BLS because he's like the boss monster of this deck. Just because I feel like this card's too good. Literally, I mean, as you guys know, this card basically wins games, and it is kind of unfair, to be honest. But yeah, next up we're playing Gale. Gale allows you to go over big monsters immediately, and sometimes anti-meta can have a problem with that. You could opt to play cards like Smashing Ground, but the thing when you activate Smashing Ground is that means you've already lost control, and anti-meta needs to be in control for it to be like successful and basically gain that advantage that they need. There's very few pluses that this deck can really make, but when you do get them, it does you know, help out quite a bit because every single card counts. You can't really misplay at all and still like win with the anti-meta. It's very hard to do that, whereas with some of the higher tier decks you can summon something and make a misplay, then you'll like lose your monster and like it's fine because you have like so many other options, whereas anti-meta just doesn't have that power. But yeah, that's why I like to play a lot of traps, and that's why I don't main the Smashing, because again, Smashing is once they already have a big monster on the field, then you like lose your monster, then you Smashing, and then yeah, you just lost the monster, and you can't really lose the monster. It really hurts. Every monster that you lose really does hurt in this deck. So yeah, Gale lets you just get over big cards as well. It allows you to you know, synchro up for Arcanite Magician when you use the Breaker. That's why I play the Breaker in here. As well as make Armor Master. Armor Master is pretty decent, as long as you can, you know, protect Armor Master. You know, he's just pretty good because he can't be destroyed by battle. That's what I really like about him, and also he has that other effect, but you never really get to activate that effect too often. But yeah, I just really do like Gale. It has, like, if you're playing at 6 Samurais, you have Shien, you can attack, you know, Shien, of course, they'll blow up their other monster, and then from there, basically, they'll have a really weak Shien. You can run over Shien with pretty much everything in this deck. But yeah, Gale it gets you out of situations like that you need to get out of. I know some people side Jinzo, so I mean, it gets over Jinzo, gets over Stardust, which is kind of a hard card to deal with a little bit of times in anti-meta, although I have a lot of back row that really protects me from Stardust, but I'll get to that later. Next up, play Breaker. Breaker is just one of those cards where it's like, if I have it first turn, I'm actually pretty satisfied with it because I get a summon, add the counter. If they Veiler, that's fine, it's still 1600 attacker. Also, just another one of those dark cards, because of course I played Black Luster Soldier in here. There's no Dark Arm in here. I was going to try like Tour Guides, but like it really needs to be like anti-meta, I feel like. And if you're playing an anti-meta deck, a Tour Guide is just good though. I mean, it allows you to just go for like a Zen mains and just chill for a while. But I don't know, I like Breaker just because, you know, if you go summon first turn, summon Breaker, set like a Warning or like Bottomless, whatever they summon, you get rid of it, and then if they set anything, you can at least pop one. So like, there's a quick way to get advantage in this deck. Next card up is Falsadina. Now, I really liked this card before when I was playing it at 3. I tried 3. Sometimes you just drew it against decks where it just didn't really matter because they'd have like 19 beaters, because a lot of people are playing Thunder King right now. Falsadina doesn't really protect himself. You have to have the back row. Although, against certain matchups like Windups or 6 Samurais, you used to set this and you can absolutely change the game around. That's another one of these cards where you can gain significant advantage. I would say Breaker gets just a minor advantage, but Falsadina can turn around some games, and it's just good against some of the matchups. Next up, I play Gores. Gores is pretty good. I mean, it's anti-meta. I'm sure there's a lot of traps, but if you can drop a Gores, you have like all this back row, and so if they finally get over all the back row, you still have Gores. I just feel like this card's just too good. I mean, I've won so many games by just dropping Gores. Next card up, Kaiku. I really like this against Chaos Dragons because they can't banish. Also, since I'm running so much removal, like I played double Mirror Force in here, and I played double Torrential. So if they negate my summon, and then I get rid of their card next turn, I can summon Kaiku and then remove the monster, depending on what deck I'm playing against too. I just like one Kaiku. I think that this card's really good, especially when you combo it with Lance, because Kaiku doesn't have to attack directly or destroy a monster. It's just whatever it deals battle damage, and I think that's just really good. and you can remove up to 2 monsters. But keep in mind, whatever you destroy with Kaiku, you can't remove that card because it's not in the graveyard at the moment. So yeah, keep that in mind. But Kaiku, I think he's just pretty solid. Now, Granville, I really like this card because there's a lot of decks, Exceed, and Synchro, and Newspation Granville says, cool! Let me just put it back. You can go for it next turn. Or make it again later on. But yeah, I really like Granville. Granville's just one of those cards where it's like it forces them to use something against, because Granville is just, you know, annoying for a lot of decks to deal with sometimes. Also, you know, E-Heroes are kind of like a popular deck, and that gets rid of all the fusion cards without you having to go really 2-. Yeah, I really like Granville. And then this is something I actually really liked, because at first I was playing Cyber Dragon, because, you know, sometimes you summon your card and then negate it, and then there's really nothing else you can do. I mean, anti-meta basically has 1 summon per turn, other than maybe like Blacklist Soldier. But I really like Photon Thrasher. It was another light target. I know Cyber Dragon's also light, but the reason why I like him is because you have so much removal as far as monsters. Like, you remove your opponent's monsters off the field really fast, so sometimes they don't have a monster on the field, so you can't, you know, special the Cyber Dragon. Also, he's level 4, so that just helps out if you want to, you know, exceed for, like, Roach. Roach against certain decks is just really good. But yeah, I really think Thrasher is pretty good, but keep in mind that you don't want to special Thrasher than normal summon like Thunder King and then get Torrential Tribute. You will pretty much lose when you do that. Also, another great play is special summon Photon Thrasher, normal summon Granville, and then now that Thrasher cannot attack if there's other monsters you control, but then you just bounce back with Granville. You bounce back whatever they have, and then you can attack directly with Thrasher. So it's pretty good. I really like how that plays out. Next up, I play Sangan. Sangan searches out for Reaper, and well, pretty much I always go for Reaper, but it searches out Reaper, it searches out Snowman Eater, it searches out Gale, and Granville, and False Dynamite. Sometimes you just need that False Dynamite right there. But yeah, most of the time it's Reaper, and I'll get into why I play 3 Reaper. I love this card. But yeah, Snowman Eater, next up. Snowman Eater is just pretty solid. Also, Sangan allows me to, like, summon another monster, and, like, not worry about, like, Torrential as much. I can, like, you know, set a card, no problem. Because if you have, like, Thunder King and, like, something else on board, and they Dark Hole you, and you don't have an answer to Dark Hole, you can lose simply just because of that. Like, anti-meta loses just simply to, like, just too many 1 cards, and that is the problem with anti-meta. But yeah, I play 1 Snowman Eater. I like Snowman Eater because if I have a Reaper in my hand, then I just, like, set Snowman Eater, pop their monster that they attacked into my Snowman Eater with, and then I summon Reaper, get the direct attack in, and then I can go for, like, a rank 3. I can go for, like, Zen Mains or something like that. I really like Snowman Eater at 1. Next up, triple Spirit Reaper. Now, this card really is so good in anti-meta. It also stalls a lot of, like, matchups. Like, E-Heroes, they don't like running into this. I know Dino Rabbit hates this. There's just so many decks where they just don't like dealing with Spirit Reaper. They're like, oh, gotta wait like 4 turns. Like, you force them to, like, go for something. The only unfortunate thing is they'll, like, mind control him and then he'll go away, or they'll do something. But keep in mind, if they do Effect Failure Spirit Reaper will not die by Compulse or Reaper. Effect Failure or Compulse will not destroy Reaper because chains resolve backwards. So yeah, that's just one thing to keep in mind as well. I like Reaper just because there's so much removal. I mean, you can set Reaper, set a Bottomless. They summon Bottomless. Okay, direct attack in. Like, Reaper also forces them to use cards like Warning, and then you can still, like, go for your summon. Again, because if you set Reaper. It's just, I really like this card against certain matchups. And it allows you to stall, because anti-meta sometimes you need to stall. Next up, 3 Thunder King. This card is like the face of anti-meta. Like, you want to open up with this card pretty much every time you play this deck. This is probably one of the best cards in anti-meta, as well as, like, it just shuts down certain decks. Like, windups, they, like, if you summon Thunder King, if they don't have Dark Hole, or they can't answer Thunder King relatively fast, they get pretty sad. Next up, I'm playing Dark Hole, and I'm doing Triple Lance. I actually really like Triple Lance. I don't play Space Typhoon in this deck because there's just, like, if there's 2 back row and you lose your 1 summon, like, to a Bottomless, it really hurts. I know technically with MSC you can hit a Warning, which is good, but I really don't like, you know, going blind space, basically, and then losing to, like, Bottomless. Bottomless really hurts a lot because, like, I really want my Lights and Darks there for Blacklist Soldier as well. And I also like Lance because a lot of the time certain decks, they'll just have to Dark Hole, like, your Thunder King, and you can Lance your Thunder King so it survives. Also, if they Torrential, when you have, like, multiple monsters in the field, like, saving Thunder King is just too key in this deck. And if they get out, like, a bigger monster, and then they try to kill Thunder King, you just Lance it. Because I know a lot of the times people will go summon tour guide, go for number 17, and they'll try to attack your Thunder King, and then you could Lance it, and from there they'll be pretty sad. But yeah, I really like Lance because it protects Thunder King, as well as sometimes I have gotten in a lot of situations where they have like a big field, and like they just attack me, and you know, I have a torrential set and they just don't summon a monster. I can then summon my monster, like Thunder King for example, and then torrential tribute on my summon of my Thunder King, and then activate Forbidden Lance to save my Thunder King. So Thunder King, it just protects Thunder King, and it makes all your monsters essentially a little bit stronger. And I just like Lance again because you know, Bottomless is there. There's like all those compulses and stuff. Like, people don't like dealing with Thunder King, and it's just one of the cards that protects Thunder King quite well. Next up, Heavy Storm, Reborn, Double Duality. There's not very much special summoning in this deck. I think there's like there's Blackthorn Soldier, and then like the 2 Photon Thrashers, and that's really about it. And obviously Reborn. But yeah, there's not too much special summoning, so Double Duality definitely good. And then we play 15 traps in here, so double Bottomless, double Compulse. I really like Compulse because it just allows you to reset some of your cards. Sometimes they'll be really annoyed with Spirit Reaper, and then they'll make something, like they'll use 2 cards to make something like the Photon Papillar Operative, and then you can just compulse it back. I really just like it. It's quite successful against certain decks that just use 2 cards to get rid of your Reaper, and then you just compulse it. Like, they go for a Synchro, and then you're like, it's cool, you can have the Synchro back. Also play double Deep Prison just for the extra removal. Honestly, the worst matchup is Dark Worlds. Dark Worlds will eat this deck every time. Like, nearly every time Dark Worlds will be like, oh, hi, you like anti-meta? It's cool. Thunder King doesn't really stop anything except for snow. Yeah, that's why I play double Deep Prison. And then double Mirror Force because I really think that anti-meta, you need as much little advantage as you can get, and Mirror Force, sometimes you can +1 off of, like, you know, certain players that like to overextend, and every advantage you can get in anti-meta is definitely key. Next up, I play double Warning, and then double Starlight. I was playing 1, but then I didn't draw it enough. Also, with 2, you can overextend in anti-meta. I mean, if I have a Thunder King on the field, and then you have, like, 1 set, and then I have a Starlight Rodan, I'm perfectly fine summoning a Spirit Reaper, summoning Fossil Diner, or something like that. Also, this deck loses to Heavy all the time. And, like, I just feel like double Starlight Road, it just works well for me. You can play 1. I mean, it is a dead draw sometimes, late. But, like, anti-meta, usually, if the game is going on to a late game, anti-meta is usually in the better position. Anti-meta is a deck where it's used to, it's more of a stun deck. Like, it's supposed to make it so your opponent can't do anything, and you just slowly beat them down. You can't really OTK in this deck, and so, I mean, if you're dead drawing Starlight Road into, like, the 10th, 15th turn into the game, at that point, I mean, you've at least had, you know, some play in your anti-meta deck, so at least you got some plays off, I would say, because, again, anti-meta is just really slow. Next up, double Torrential Tribute, because it's Torrential Tribute. I think this card is pretty good, and, again, it's just one of those cards where you can plus off it. And then, finally, Solemn Judgment. As far as the extra deck, I'll recommend you to play Stardust. I'll recommend you to play Arcanite if you were playing Breaker, because Breaker is the only spellcaster. Also, Kaiku. I forgot. Kaiku is a spellcaster as well. So you have 2 spellcasters to make Arcanite Magician. He's pretty good. This is my only tuner at the moment. Yeah, I mean, you could play Veilers and stuff, but I feel like you have to run, like, the heavy amounts of traps, because Veiler and Max C, they don't essentially stop the monster from being on the field. Like, if someone goes Dark Armed, well, you still have to deal with a Dark Armed, and then you go -1, kind of, if you guys get what I'm saying. I mean, obviously, if they start activating Dark Arm's effect, they can plus a lot harder, but yeah, certain times you just really need to have the back row rather than the hand trap, because, again, you still have to deal with that large monster. If someone drops a very strong monster, you still have to use, like, your Bottomless or, you know, something else to answer it. That's what I'm saying as far as, like, the hand traps. That's why I don't really prefer the hand traps. I've been testing it out. Personally, I like this. But yeah, we were talking about the extra deck. You can make, like, Roach. I mean, Zenmaines is the only thing I really, like, ever make, and that's usually with, like, Snowman Eater, and then, like I'll first turn set Snowman Eater, I'll pop one of their monsters, get a direct attack with Spirit Reaper, then go into Zenmaines and just hang out for a while. Or you can just leave the Snowman Eater there, because, you know, he's still got 19 defense, pretty good. I think that's the only card I really make often. I mean, I don't really make Stardust, but, I mean, as you guys have seen, I've made Armor Master, I've made Arcanite, so the deck really can make some stuff. Also, Catastor is kind of important, because, you know, reborning a Veiler and making Catastor is pretty good. Let me get into the cards that I will recommend you to try out. If you don't like some of my choices, you can try these instead. Banish the Radiance, so this is basically like a Macrocosmos in monster form. I just feel like he's too weak. He's okay, though. I mean, at least he's a light, so, you know, more lights and dark's always good. Next up, DD Warrior Lady. I really liked this card for a while. But then the thing is, if you set it, again, it doesn't stun your opponent. Like, a card like Fossil Dyna and like Thunder King, these are stun cards, and those are what really makes anti-meta. And like setting DD Warrior Lady, it is kind of slow, and on top of that, you don't get the light in your grave. But yeah, I mean, she's also pretty decent. I mean, at least she gets to banish monster. This is Doom Caliber Knight. A lot of people like this card as far as anti-meta. I don't like it because there's very few things that your opponent will be able to use Valor and Maxi on. And the reason why I don't like Doom Cal, they're like, oh, you're playing anti-meta? Okay, you summon Doom Cal? Okay, Maxi, because you never special summon more than once anyways. So, like, they just get rid of this, and then, I mean, at least it's a dark, it's got good attack and defense. But again, he just gets baited out way too easy. And he also negates your card's effects, and it's mandatory as well. But, yeah, I'm just not a fan of Doom Cal or Knight. There are certain decks where you can excel at, summoning Doom Cal. But, again, it's just because Valor and Maxi are there, and then just get rid of this card, and then Doom Cal is kind of sad. Also, Treeborn Frog laughs at this card. More Steinmine Eaters is always good. I really like this card. And then, Book of Moon. I opted not to play Book of Moon because I went for the double compulse, because, if I stop your play, I still have to follow up with the play by summoning my monster, and I only have one summon per turn, basically. So that means if you make, a big monster, let's say, and then I Book of Moon it because I don't want to take the damage. I try to summon my Thunder King next turn, you bottomless, and then I'm like, okay, well then I've lost a Book of Moon. Whereas Compulse, I could at least get rid of the monster. That's why I like Compulse better. But Book of Moon definitely has its use. Next up, you can try main decking some Defissure, Macrocosmos, pretty much like the same thing. Except for Macro is better because it's chainable, although Defissure is faster, so if you go summon your monster attack into their face down, it gets banished, so that is also plus. But yeah, I just feel like sometimes I would just run like one, maybe like one or two. I don't think I'd recommend three because sometimes you draw like double like these and like stuff and like lands and you just can't use them. And then Smashing Ground's also there, but I talked about this earlier when I was talking about when your opponent essentially like gets a bigger monster, they run over your monster and then you smashing. Whereas I'd rather have like a like Deep Prison so I can like save my monster, and saving your monster is important. And then last up, we got Tiger King, and Cyber Dragon we already kind of talked about. It's basically the same as Photon Thrasher. It depends on like your level, like as far as like if you want level 5 and like you want to run maybe other tuners, I guess. But like Gale's like the only good tuner I'd say that's an anti-meta. But yeah, Tiger King pretty good because Windups hate this card, Frog Monarchs hate this card. There's a lot of decks that hate this card. Dino Rabbit doesn't really like this card because all they can do is basically summon Sabersaurus or Cobblezools, and you have so much back row. And because any monster that's normal or special summoned, it wrecks them. But yeah, Tiger King's pretty good. I wanted to main deck this card, but I just really like couldn't find the room. It's one of those cards where it does use up my normal summon. I liked everything that I was playing so far. Maybe Kaiku, but I like Kaiku because like I have so much removal, and like as far as monster removal, then I can get that direct attacking with Kaiku, so it helps out a lot as well. And then there's Maxi. You can run Maxi Valors, but again, it's just because I would prefer to have the trap there to get rid of the monster rather than stop my opponent from making the plays. Because again, if they just go summon a big monster like Hyperion, even though they can't blow up one card, you still have to use one card, and then you have to deal with Hyperion. And as you can see, anti-meta, most of the monsters are not very strong, so they can't really deal with Hyperion anyways, and you gotta like use your other cards to get rid of Thunder King. So you'll go more, get rid of the Hyperion or any big monster essentially, and you just end up going more minus. That's why I prefer not to play the hand traps in my anti-meta. But you can definitely run Maxi. I would say Maxi is better than Valor because you can draw into a lot of cards, and like drawing into like lots of back row early on in the game is pretty good. But yeah, I'll just go over the extra deck. I'd play this because if I was gonna main deck Cyber Dragon, I would definitely put this there. Catastrophe, we talked about Arcanite Black Rose. I would definitely put in an Armor Master, especially if you're playing Gale, and then Scrap Dragon, Double Stardust, Thought Ruler, Levier. Oh, we timed out due to inactivity. Awesome! But anyways, I think you guys got the idea of it. But thanks for watching, guys. If you guys have any suggestions for this anti-meta deck, let me know, and maybe I'll do some more testing with your guys' choices, because I think the deck was pretty solid, but it's not too interesting to play, to be honest. There are some times where you get in fun duels, and I try to upload all the fun ones. But thanks for watching, guys. Asian Ice White Dragon, signing out.